The Secrets of TV is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit GiveStarQuest.com.
My name is Michael Westen. I used to be a spy until...
We got a burn notice on you. You're blacklisted.
When you're burned, you've got nothing. No cash, no credit, no job history. You're stuck in whatever city they decide to dump you in. You do whatever work comes your way, and you rely on anyone who's still talking to you. A trigger-happy girlfriend, an old friend who used to inform on you to the FBI, family too, if you're desperate, and a down-and-out spy you met along the way. Bottom line, as long as you're burned, you're not going anywhere.
You're listening to The Secrets of Television. I'm Rob Leonardi, and we are taking a closer look at the stories behind the stories, exploring the themes, characters, and hidden meanings in the shows everyone's watching and in the classics worth remembering, such as today, when we are reviewing Burn Notice. As I mentioned, I am Rob Leonardi, but you can call me Chuck Finley. And joining me today is Michael Westen and Virgil Tibbs. Jeff Haecker. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Chuck.
And Robert Story. Hey, Robert.
I feel much more muscular and Cuban all of a sudden.
As I mentioned, this week we are discussing the USA Network series Burn Notice. Before we get started in the summary, what is your guys' kind of history on Burn Notice? Did you guys watch it as it was coming out, or watch it when it was syndicated? How did that work?
Yeah, so I want to say I watched it. So I remember watching it with some friends. I think it was like spring break in college. I was at a friend's like over spring break while they had we had different spring breaks. So I was watching it and I thought it was a really cool show, but I think I was watching just a random season 1 episode. And when I got home, I was able to track down the start of the series, and I started from the beginning. It was probably season 1, and then I pretty much kept up with it all the way from then to the end, and I really loved it. Like, I thought it was one of the first like procedural type shows I really got into, and now as an old man, that's a lot of what I watch with my wife is procedural TV shows. But this was, I think, the first one that I really got into, and yeah, I just really love the characters. I love the teamwork. I love the case of the week, but it's instead of just like a murder mystery, it's like it's a spy thing. They're in each, like, there are similar episodes that do similar things, but it's cool that they like play different roles and, have different aliases every week to, accomplish these missions. So yeah, no, I really like the show. And yeah, I didn't rewatch all of it leading up to this. I watched like the season premieres and finales. But there was a couple of times where I just let the next episode play and just keep watching because it's just so entertaining and so much fun. And I plan to kind of go back to the episodes I skipped over and just kind of let it play. So, yeah, no, I love the series.
Awesome. What about you, Virgil? I mean, Robert?
I discovered it totally on accident. This is actually one of the times where I'm going to say something nice about Netflix. And I remember just kind of scrolling through it on a Sunday, which was like my one day off at the time, being like, oh, hey, this show has Bruce Campbell in it. I love that guy. What's this about? And we got like 10 minutes into the first episode. I was like, this is amazing. When he drops the duct tape line, I'm like, nope, this is my show. I'm now watching all of this. So over the next several like weeks or months or however long it took, like, I would work all week. I would come home on Sunday. I would do my laundry, and I would just sit in my chair and watch Burn Notice for like until the sun went down and I had to go to bed. It became like that comfort show of mine. I'm like, yes, I will watch the show about Bruce Campbell and the other guy who's pretty cool too, I guess.
Yeah, that's so. I like Jeff. I too watched it while it was airing, and it was actually during the time frame where because I currently live in Michigan, and I twice I went down to work at Disney World, but it was during I worked in like 2010, and so this was kind of like in the middle of its season or in its series, and I was like, I live in Orlando right now. I kind of want to just like drive down to Miami and see all of these places and do all the things like just kind of, I didn't end up doing it, but it was just one of those things. I was just like, I like rewatching this today, especially, the past couple of weeks here. It's like, dealing with the weather up here. I'm like, man, I really miss Florida weather, and bringing me back home to like just that the home away from home that I had in Florida, and it was really nice. But yeah, I love this series. I was sad to see it end, and I'm there. We'll get into a little bit later on why it ended the way it did, which season 7's. It is what it is, but let's kick it over to the summary real quick. So, Burn Notice follows Michael Westen, a top CIA operative at the height of his career, who is suddenly burned in the middle of a mission, which is being blacklisted. He was blacklisted without warning, stripped of all of his money, his contacts, his identity, and dumped back into his hometown of Miami under FBI surveillance. And so, in the intelligent world, a burn notice means you cease to exist. There's no backup, no resources, no explanation. They just, if they're kind enough to even collect you back, they just dump you in a city. And so he is forced to survive on his own. Michael relies on an unlikely support system of his sharp-tongued mom, Madeline, his troublemaking brother, Nate, a former Navy SEAL and war buddy, Sam Axe, and Fiona Glennan, who is his ex-girlfriend and a former IRA operative, and an explosives expert, and probably the only person capable of matching Michael's dangerous life. Midway through the series, the team expands with Jesse Porter, Jesse Porter, a counterintelligence agent that Michael accidentally burns during his investigation of looking into who burned him. And it's completely narrated throughout the entire series by Michael himself, which is really cool because each episode he gives reasons of what he's doing and why he's doing, and it explains the spycraft and the improvisation, the cons, and the actions that his team is doing that help ordinary people in the situations that they're in. They go, as Jeff mentioned, that they go week by week, because I watched it week by week, but every episode they go and they help out someone in need, whether it being from abusive criminals. He doesn't help out the abusive criminals. He helps out the people that the criminals are abusing. He helps out people that are being affected by corrupt businessmen, traffickers, blackmailers, the just absolute scumbags. And it kind of begins as a stylish procedural show, slowly evolves into something deeper, a story about loyalty, moral compromise, trauma, found family, and whether someone trained to manipulate and destroy can still choose to become a good, noble man. As Michael digs deeper into the mystery behind his burn notice, he uncovers layers of corruption inside the intelligence world itself. And the further he goes, the more he's pulled back into the system that discarded him and burned him to begin with. And he has to deal with what he's willing to sacrifice to protect the people he loves. And so the Burn Notice transforms over 7 seasons from a fun spy caper into a deeply human story about exile, redemption, and choosing relationships over power. And by the end of the series, Michael ultimately rejects the spy world entirely, spoilers, fakes his death, and escapes with Fiona to raise his nephew, Charlie. And what's really cool, I really enjoyed, is at the very last episode, it's revealed that the narration framing for the entire series is Michael telling his stories to his nephew, not to glorify the espionage, but to explain the choices that shaped his life and where they're at now. Going through all of that, we have obviously the most important person that this is centered on, Michael, the character of Michael. What do you guys like? What are your impressions of him? What do you think about Michael?
Yeah,
Michael, do you want to take this?
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, I forgot. I really like Michael as a character. He starts off as your, he's left home because throughout the series you learn his backstory, that his father was abusive, and his I believe his mom basically signed a waiver to let him leave and get into the Marines at like 17 or 16. So he joined the Marines or the military so that he could get away from his abusive father, like physically abusive father, because he had also taken, he would stand up to his dad and take some of the hits for his younger brother Nate, and I think his mom too. But he got away into the military and eventually landed into joined the CIA. And he starts off as just kind of your typical spy. He's just there accomplishing a mission. I think he's trying to use a CIA fund to pay a guy not to blow up oil refineries or something like that. So that's where he starts. But then after he's burned, that really kind of transforms him, and it takes time. He starts off in the first few episodes still kind of being a very gruff character. He wants to get back into the spy game. Like he wants his old life back. But over the series, he reconnects with his mom, his brother, and Fiona, who he's joined by when he wakes up in Miami, which they met when he was undercover with trying to get into the IRA, doing some op with them. And yeah, they date on, he and Fiona date on again, off again. And there are seasons where he kind of goes off on the deep end, trying to track down who burned him or who did this, and kind of going deeper into the moral kind of gray area. But ultimately he's able to come back and be redeemed by his connection with his family and his friends. So yeah, I really like the character Michael. I think he's got a great full circle journey in the show.
What about you, Robert?
Most of what he said, quite on, I would agree with that. The memory that sticks out in my head is when I first started watching it. Michael is played by Jeffrey Donovan, who is very handsome in that like generically Hollywood pretty sort of way. And when I first saw it, I kind of rolled my eyes. I'm like, whatever. And as the season goes on, I realize like how deliberate that is. He is generically pretty. He's a freaking spy. He's supposed to be like dark hair, dark eyes, vaguely dark. So like this dude blends in on like 7 different continents. Yeah, he's a great spy. Which is a counterpoint to the next character we're going to discuss, but that's a story for later. I really love his arc of like Jeff said, he starts off like very gruff, very, I don't want to say professional because that's not really the best word for it, but like he is clearly like, I am just here until I can get out, clear my name, and then I don't care about the rest of you people. Like one of the really entertaining like subplots is him dealing with his mom, who we will also discuss later. But as the series goes on, like he really starts forming relationships with not just like the main cast, but like there's a series of recurring characters, Barry, who come up, and he starts off like very impersonal, like almost, I don't want to say like abusive, but very like, I am using you. I am a spy. This is what I do. I will manipulate you to get what I want. But by season like 4, he's like, well, my friend's in trouble. I will now rip this town apart until I can help them. And I love that because typically when you get a show like this, when forced to choose between like family or duty, or in this case, perceived duty, they always pick duty. Like very rarely do they pick family. And Michael does, like again and again and again. And I just love it. He's such a great character.
Yeah, and Michael, obviously being the center of the show, is pivotal in his growth of, as Jeff said, where he came from, just being the spy, to really having that found family of Fee and Sam and Jesse. And it's really nice seeing that. One of the things I think is cool is, in season 7, there's an operative that he was working with named Sonia that told him that he was actually like, when she was learning and growing in her own training, Michael Westen was one of the people they studied because his body count was so low on all the missions, and they're trying to figure out why. And it was like, oh, so they taught you I was noble. Like he only had to kill when it was necessary, which is, I mean, that's a good thing for a spy, right? One of the things I thought was absolutely hilarious that Michael grew up in Miami his entire life and can switch accents and be Michael McBride and go into flawless Russian, but cannot speak a lick of Spanish until season 7, where he actually is like living in the DR. But it that was just something that was kind of really hilarious. But moving on to his ex-girlfriend to start the series, girlfriend halfway through, ex-girlfriend for most of season 7, and then finally ended up together. Fiona McGlennan. What do you think about Fiona, Robert?
Should we shoot them? I think she is the owner of the single worst Irish accent on TV, which is why I think she only uses it like once every 100 episodes or some nonsense. Like it's really bad, but the character was clearly written before the actress was cast, which is fine. The Gabrielle Anwar does a fantastic job of playing her. She's a very skilled actress, but no, that accent is awful. It's horrible. She takes what can be an objectively like very simple, very one-note character. Like this is the psycho ex-girlfriend, but like the psycho ex-girlfriend is a terrorist. Like she crafts bombs for the IRA. Like she carries a shotgun in her everything. She can very easily slide into like parody, but she doesn't. The actress Gabrielle is good enough to play her with like an ounce of pathos and like, you know, definitely a certain sense of like, yes, what I do is fun. I get to blow people up when they annoy me. But she makes it far more than the one-note character it looks like on paper. This feels like a real person who has serious beef with this dude who most definitely manipulated her like every other Thursday.
All right, and Jeff?
Yeah, I mean she's a cool character. She's right there in all the action, and sometimes like they even trust her to be like I think she's a better shot than anyone else. At least with handguns. She's, you know, she knows the explosives. She can fight like, you know, guys 3 times her size because she's not very big, but she knows how to fight. So yeah, she's a cool character, and I think, and again, from the little bit I watched and I rewatched, you know, you get little bits of her backstory. She was, I think she grew up during the Troubles in Ireland when there was a lot of tension between Britain and Ireland. And I think one of her siblings died, which is what led her to, you know, probably become radicalized and join the IRA. So, but like you said, Robert, she's not just a one-note character that is just the trigger-happy girlfriend. Like she actually does care for Michael and you know, especially.
No, she is still trigger-happy though.
She is, yes, yes. But she's not just trigger-happy. She's, you know, I think both her and Michael, like by the end of the series, like they're both kind of searching for what they think is peace. And for Michael, he thinks it's, you know, fighting to get back his old life of being a spy. And for her, we get, you know, I think she's a little bit more ambiguous in what she wants, but like ultimately they find peace in each other, and living in a, you know, big mansion in Ireland, which, I mean, you know, how can you not find peace in that? I you know, I don't blame him for that. So yeah, no, I really like her character too. And, you know, she has fun interactions with Madeline. She's kind of good buddies with Sam and Jesse, but she's right there on Michael's, you know, capers, and like she plays along in them. Like, you know, it's a good thing Miami is so big because like they should be recognized by all the criminal element. Like, I think this lady looks familiar. She looks like this lady who scammed this guy last week. So
one lady is at the center of like half the explosions in the city. We should probably look for her.
Yeah, I think at that point Miami is the most explosive city in the United States. I think that the actors for Michael and Fiona have great on-screen chemistry. I think that they're able to play these characters very well and show that emotion between them. And I loved it. it's more so with these two, I think, than any other characters out there. But it's kind of like the way that they do their spycraft, especially with the explosives, is very much like a MacGyver meets James Bond. Just very, very cool in ways that it's like, oh, I didn't even think of that. And one of the things that's actually really cool, I'm sad that Robert didn't get to experience this. I'm sure Jeff did, but during the actual release of Burn Notice on television, they would actually have Michael Weston come on as in like mini commercials, not a full commercial, but mini commercials, and he would explain some sort of a spy trick. And
I vaguely remember that.
Wait, so it originally premiered on USA, right?
Yeah.
Was it during when they did those like little, I don't know what you would call them, like cameo crossover things where like the characters of various shows would interact with each other?
So they actually were part of one of those.
Because the one I remember was the guys from Psych messing with Monk.
Yes.
And it was all stuff like that.
Yes. So it was during that time, right? And Fee and Michael were in a commercial where it crossed over with White Collar, with Bert from White Collars walking by them and having a gun. Like, is that gun registered? Because Psych also did that with White Collar, and this was the heyday of USA Network. It really truly was. And later on I'll get into my really upset spiel about why the Comcast sucks. But let's move on to Sam Axe, which is Sam Axe, the Navy SEAL, ex-Navy SEAL, right? And one of the things that's really cool about Sam Axe is that he actually, at the end of season 4, Sam Axe got his own movie. Like, they did a straight to, I mean, it wasn't not like a big premiere movie, but it was a TV movie called The Fall of Sam Axe, where Sam is sent to Colombia, and this is 2 years before the actual series of Burn Notice, but he's still as a Navy SEAL. He's sent to Colombia because he was caught accidentally having an affair with a superior's officer, his wife, not the officer, but the officer's wife, and so he was sent to Colombia, and he uncovers a big drugs conspiracy, and he forces the CIA to actually observe the situation and expose to everything, and then end up using what's called gray mail instead of blackmail, but a strategic form of extortion, and against the admiral that sent him there to clear his name, and got a favorable discharge and got sent to Miami to help Michael 2 years later. But Sam, really great thing. I really great. Bruce Campbell, really amazing in that. I think that there's some in some of the episodes he has some issues with his hand, throwing back to other things of his. But what do you guys think about Sam Axe?
I have to be careful because I'll just talk about Bruce Campbell for half an hour. So I'm going to try to say this without bragging, but this is pure exposition. I've known a couple of like SEAL and SEAL adjacent dudes in my life, and they tell stories about like how on all the teams there's always this one dude who's like visibly out of shape, is out of regs, like hair too long, beard too long, whatever, and probably may or may not have a stolen Rolex watch, a Sam Axe character. Except that dude can smoke everybody else on everything. Like, he does more push-ups, he runs faster, and he outshoots all of them, despite the fact that he's visibly 10 years older than these 23-year-old dudes who are like the peak of human fitness. So when they cast Bruce Campbell as him, who like, that's what he looks like. He looks like this drunk Miami lounge lizard who happens to be a Navy SEAL, and at first you're like, are you though? Yes, he is. And he is fully prepared to show you that at any moment. And that's what I really love about him is when people think ex-Navy SEAL, they think huge tatted guy, big old lumberjack beard, 250 pounds of muscle. And it's Bruce Campbell, who doesn't look like that. But he sells it. He just sells it. There's not a moment during this whole show where you're thinking, if this dude had, like, was not explicitly held back from killing everybody, I'm pretty sure he could take everybody in this room with a napkin. Like, he sells it. It's just that good. Like, I think, what is it, like season 4 or 5, he gets into a fight with Michael in the water, which is where he's most comfortable.
That's actually season 7. That's the very last episode.
Is it really? Oh gosh, okay. I thought it was so much earlier. Shows how much I remember. And Michael's narration is like, this is the worst possible thing to happen to anybody. This is the worst place to ever fight a seal. This is where they live. And like the whole fight exposition is him basically going, this is a horrible idea. This is a horrible idea. This is a horrible, horrible idea. And again, you're never like, I don't buy it. You totally do. He's that good. He's that well written, and he just sells it that hard.
Yeah, and I think part of the show did get interrupted with the writer's strike and kind of got delayed a little bit. And in one of this, what you could tell, Bruce Campbell actually lost weight throughout this series.
Didn't they write that into the movie where like he suddenly lost 20 pounds because like Madeline made him cut out beer or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so he's the comic relief too, but like he's not like, you know, it's
not slapstick.
It's not slapstick, but he's the one who has the one-liners. He's the one who always has a quippy thing to say, and you know he's just so fun to watch. But he is and you know he's got however many girlfriends he has. Like he's kind of just like you said, lounge lizard is a good term. Like he's drinking mojitos all the time. He's got a girlfriend who's a sugar mama, basically, who's letting him use the car, letting him crash at an apartment or whatever. So he kind of starts out in that, you know, stereotypical, you know, kind of way. But then by the end of it, like, does he get married, or does he at least have a long-term girlfriend by the end?
Well, so he has, like, the very first season, he has a long-term girlfriend who, or a couple seasons actually, and then she eventually is like, no, your life is too much for me. And then in season 7, I think maybe season 6, he has another one, Elsa.
Yeah, Elsa's the one.
And so I don't think he let her go.
Okay. Yeah, but they don't get married in the end, right?
Not
at least not that we know of.
Yeah, not that we know of.
Okay. Yeah, but he's great, and you know, of course, we were joking. You know, his alias that he likes to use on every mission is Chuck Finley. No matter what mission it is, whether he's a high class, like the one that I just watched. One of the ones I watched was where there was a guy scamming rich widows out of money. And so he plays Chuck Finley trying to do the same thing. And is this like high class smoocher scammer guy. But then he also plays Chuck, he uses that alias throughout the show. So and I didn't realize it until I was like rewatching. I was like, oh yeah, he's Chuck Finley all the time. In like as many missions as he can. So
yeah.
But he's Michael's best friend, and like calls him on his stuff whenever especially toward the end when Michael's kind of going off the deep end of trying to bring down this terrorist network so that he can have an out with the CIA to get their lives back or whatever. So but he doesn't let Michael just steamroll over everyone. Like he's the Joker, but he also is he pushes back on Michael, which is good.
Yeah. And then going into Michael's mom, Madeline, I think this was an amazing character arc with family. Like starting off of the very first season, it's, Michael, I haven't seen you in decades. I want to be with you. I want to talk to you, all this stuff. But at the same time, she's the driver of, you need to go help people. There's people that you need to go help, right? Being that, the Virgin Mary at the wedding of Cana, like, hey, son, go help. Right. And then going into, as the character grows, she starts to actually have that relationship with Michael. By the end of, I think it's season 5, she's actively taking parts in the team. She's at one point she's pretending to be a nurse, and there's a trafficker situation, and so she's going in, she's pretending to be a nurse to try to get this guy to talk, and like allowing Michael to yell at her and to hit her once, and really sell like as she is undercover herself. And by the end of the season, rest in peace, Mama Westen, she sacrifices her own life for the nephew, Charlie, and for Jesse to get out alive. But I know I kind of took that one off, but is there anything else you guys want to talk about with Madeline?
Yeah, no, I mean, like you said, her arc is great because, she starts off as like, she's a retiree in Miami. She's, playing cards with her friends, or like just kind of a busybody all the time. And like the first episode, when she learns Michael's back in town, she's like, "Oh, I need to go to the doctor. Can you take me?" And, kind of your stereotypical, like, kind of mom that's just like always in your business. But yeah, she has a great arc as she kind of develops and, like you said, starts taking part in missions. And then eventually when Nate gets killed, she's the one who takes
spoilers.
Yeah. Oh no. For a almost 20-year-old show. She starts taking care of Charlie, but then, like you said, she gives her a life to save Jesse, and because Jesse's protecting them, and to save Charlie so that Michael can, pick him up and they can go off to Ireland. So yeah, her arc is great.
Something I like about her, like reflecting on the series, is her behavior never really changes. We just understand like where she's coming from more, and it's more of like the way Michael treats her changes. Because in season 1, like, she's kind of played for comic relief of like, clueless old lady, doesn't understand son's life is in danger, wants him to take her to the doctor and all that. But he realizes she's trying to like repair the relationship that they never really had, trying to like rebuild her, like what's left of her family. Like she kept the car. Like, people in Florida don't do that. Like that, it's hot, it's muggy, that gorgeous vehicle should be a hunk of rust. And it's visibly not, like, it needs a little work, sure, but she kept it. And there's all these, in the beginning, there's all these little moments of like hidden depth of like, this is clearly more than like slowly going senile old mother. Like, this is a woman who deeply loves her son, but doesn't understand him for honestly very understandable reasons. Like, he was a spy. He literally cannot tell her what he's doing. And so as the series progresses, like, she learns, and he learns, more importantly, he learns about her, and he kind of gets the better idea, and he becomes very protective of her. Like, the whole family dynamic rebuilds, and it's great. It's warm and fuzzy, and then it, just rips your heart out when she dies. Like, it's a very impactful moment.
Yeah, because even from season 1, he always tries to like, I send mom out to Disney World, like get her out of town while we take care of stuff. And by the season 7, it's I need you to go protect mom, and then it's mom's going to now protect them. And she is the heart of this show, and she's really, I think, the anchor for this entire series.
And it's funny you mentioned the car, Robert, because thinking back, it's like the Charger is in a lot of episodes, and it's like and it gets shot up all the time, but it always gets fixed. So it's like the car is as much part of the team and part of the show as everything else. But it's a car from his abusive father, so it's it has that kind of baggage too, that his abusive father like loved this car and that she kept it.
I believe it has the Duke protection plan on it, where whatever happens to it, it's fine in the next episode. Which
and the person that's very jealous that car went to Michael is Nate, his brother, Nate's been around the whole time, right? He's the almost reverse prodigal son here, where the Nate, who is the guy who's spending a lot of money on things he shouldn't have, is the one that stayed with his parents. But what do you guys think about Nate?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk comic relief character, like, Nate is the little brother. Like, that is his character. He looks up to his big brother Mike, which, fair, you know, I would totally do that too if my older brother knew like 7 kinds of martial arts and could, you know, hit headshots from 100 yards away, like, without blinking or whatever. Like, come on now. Like, he's the little brother, but you're like, I get it. I would feel that way too. But he's always trying to, like, measure up to it, and it becomes very apparent that, like, this ridiculously extravagant lifestyle, like the borderline, like, financial abuse of his mom, is just him trying to live up to Mike's example, to be somebody that his brother might be proud of, even though he's going, like, completely in the opposite direction. But that changes, you know, that changes as series goes on, and he starts to develop as a character, and he really starts to become, like, he gets his life together because his big brother is around, and he realizes, oh, this is empty. This life is, there's nothing to it. I want something real, and Michael kind of helps show him that. It's a fantastic arc, actually, for a character that is in like 15 episodes, I think. Like, he basically pops up once or twice a season, and at first you're like, oh, now I feel bad. No, poor guy. Come on. Come on, Mike. He wants to help.
Yeah, and in the rewatch that I was doing, I didn't really see a lot of Nate in the episodes. I saw there were a few, and of course he gets killed in does he get? It's not the does he get killed in the final season, or is it the season 6?
Season 6,
okay. Yeah, but he had I can't remember if he was married or just had a girlfriend.
Yep, he got married and had a kid and was trying to settle his life down. Yeah,
so even he, was as kind of the screw up, going from job to job, or I can't think of the word, but like basically going from one thing to another, not really doing anything long term, or he did, kind of reach his kind of the best he could be as being a dad. And, unfortunately he was killed, but that, kind of led to Madeline. So, I mean, through his death, it kind of led to Madeline becoming kind of more her full self by being able to become Charlie's.
She even quit smoking for him.
Yeah, she did.
That's always a good idea, to quit smoking. Awesome. Yeah. And then halfway through the series, we get Jesse Porter, who is a CIA operative himself that Michael accidentally ends up burning. And then Michael has to be cautious around Jesse for a bit, because Jesse tries to put him into the ground. But then Jesse really has a found family with Michael and Madeline and Fiona and Sam and Charlie, right? Like, that was a big part for him, that he grew up with, and his mom died, and he was trying to find out how his mom died, like who did what. And so he went into the CIA and requested like a dozen times for his mom's file, and got denied each and every time. And that got brought, that hung like a carrot on a stick for him trying to sell out Michael at one point. And he didn't. His family is solidly his newfound family, and really great, a really great character for bolstering not only the need to have a little extra oomph to the team, but he also has the resources with his new jobs to provide for things that is sort of like, oh, how did that happen? Oh, because Jesse had this. A nice, good explanation for suddenly they have all these things that they probably shouldn't have. But what do you guys think of Jesse in general?
Yeah, no, I really like him as a character. I thought, it's always tricky when you bring on someone new to a team, especially in a procedural, which again, I've watched in my older age, I've watched a lot of procedurals. So whenever you add a team member, it always can be a risk of, something changing in the dynamic for good or something changing for the worse with the dynamic. But I think he really does add a lot. He adds a foil to Michael a little bit, especially when he's, when he learns that Michael was the one who burned him and he'd been kind of pretending the whole time. And Fiona and Sam were all in on it too. And Madeline, because he was staying at Madeline's house. It's all kind of he does get angry, but he does forgive. And I think he kind of gets to his highest, not to get it too philosophical, but he reaches the kind of his, can't think of like the philosophical term like Aristotle would say, but like his highest level of being or whatever by not just being a spy, but like doing good for the people around him. Because at the end of the series, he and Sam kind of take up their Michael and Michael's take up Michael's work in helping the people of Miami and helping those who are down and out and don't have anyone else who can help them. So
yeah, and there was actually, I remember there was this big rumor going around that there was going to be a Sam Max Jesse Porter spinoff of Burn Notice, but at last Comcast really drove the USA Network into the ground. And I guess I'll just put it out here that so season 1 through 6 were very much the same animal. You get the Michael trying to find who burned him, why he got burned, and then as well as every week you get some sort of what they call client, where it's somebody that they're helping, right? And season 7 is a complete change of pace from that, where it's just specifically Michael trying to deal with the people that burned him and that whole working with the CIA, and they don't have any clients. And not only that, but it's a shorter season 2. And the problem is that in 2011, the control of NBC Universal passed from General Electric to Comcast, and then Comcast would buy out all of General Electric's remaining ownership 2 years later. And when that happened, the best USA Network shows, the heyday of the USA Network, got killed. You had Burn Notice, you had White Collar, you had Psych. All of them got canceled within a year. They all had shortened seasons for their series finale. And because of all that, in 2014, the channel actually dropped 18% in viewership and dropped out of first place among the major cable net channels. Like, they messed up. They started pushing other types of programming that they weren't as good, and very, very much more of the drama akin to, Stargate Deep Space Nine rather than Stargate Original Series or Next Gen. Not Stargate. Wow. Star Trek. Wow.
What
it is late at night.
Well, hang on. Let's talk.
Stargate Universe. Yes. Okay. Stargate Universe. Yes. That type of things there. But anyway, want to kind of talk with you guys about this whole series has this layer of exile, right? Michael gets exiled and from his entire life. And we see that as well as with Jesus being exiled when he went into the exile of the desert for 40 days. What do you guys like? How do you see that exile kind of leading to a path of transformation.
Yeah, so I think it's in scripture that the that the chief priest tells Jesus, "We've got a burn notice on you. You've been blacklisted." I'm kidding. I'm joking. Sorry. Yeah, no, because it's interesting because he was kind of exiled from his family in a way, just by his father's abuse, and so he didn't get that loving home, because if he had had that loving home, who knows where he would have ended up. And I think multiple times in the series, even in my kind of brief rewatch, he mentions the best spies are people who grew up in a home where you couldn't trust anybody, where you learn that you can only rely on yourself and things like that. So he was almost exiled from his own family, and he found that home in the CIA. But then, when you get into the series, it's like part of the series is every season there's like there's a big bad who is part of the organization that burned him, and he kind of moves up the ladder, and from one person to another to figure out who actually burned him and caused his exile. So, but really, it's in not in a non-joking way. I really like. It's really it's about the friends he made along the way, or the friends that he and family that he that he re-met, that he deepened relationships with. Like, by his exile, he found his home. So kind of like the Israelites, they were exiled from they were exiled from Egypt and had to wander for a while before they found the promised land. And they were exiled from the promised land. So, and they came back.
They got better. Yeah, that's kind of most of what I was going to say.
Oh.
So, most parallel great minds think alike. There we go. Found it eventually. Yeah, so each of our main characters, like, you kind of had the main trio of Sam, Michael, and Fiona, and then, later they kind of expand to Jesse, form kind of the core team. And each of them is, like, broken and exiled in certain ways. Like, Michael's is obvious, he got burned, and now all these people that he's been using, abusing, manipulating, whatever, for, years, he now kind of has to reckon with. Fiona is, again, a terrorist, operating in enemy territory, basically. So, literally cannot trust anybody. Sam is a womanizing alcoholic who happens to be one of the deadliest men on the planet, who's been dishonorably discharged, so comfortably exiled, but still exiled. And Jesse was exiled not by anything he did wrong, which is kind of the worst. But through all four of these characters very easily at any point could have said, you know what, this is horrible. I'm not getting anywhere with this. Bye. But they don't. They recognize that, like, this unites us. Like, I think by season 4, like, literally finding out who burned Michael and, like, how deep does this conspiracy go, literally binds them together as a team. Like, it stops being a game of uneasy alliances and, like, everybody waiting for the knife in the back to, no, this is a systemic problem, and Michael is just the latest victim of it, or rather Jesse is the latest victim of it. And so they almost, like, reject their own exile and create a new life together, which is just so beautiful. Like, they take their brokenness and, without ever mentioning Jesus or God or even Christianity, live the Christian example of, like, this is our brokenness. Here, take it. Like, they offer it to each other, and in doing so, bind themselves together and heal their own wounds in a way that is just so fundamentally Christian without, I don't think any of the characters even step inside of a church. Like, I don't recall one in the series.
There was one episode where they parked outside of church and they watched someone come out of mass, but
yeah, see, never actually stepped inside of a church. See, I was right.
I think Michael in one episode, if Google AI is telling me correctly, he he does pose as a priest at one point to deal with somebody. So there are, and there's
fair enough.
Yeah, there's a
one
couple.
token.
Yeah, there is some
episode.
definite things we need to touch on there. But I do think what you're talking about with they were able to kind of find redemption through reconciliation, right?
Yes,
and it's not so much of we won, but and I beat you and I was able to beat the spy game, but it's they were able to reconcile with each other even when Michael lone wolfed it, and even when Michael went off the deep end and lost himself to effectively being a traitor and kind of thinking that he could get all of this power and he could be the leader of an organization that would do what he would want them to do, which ultimately, the idea would for him was be to do good, to do all these things of helping these people that he's helped along the way, not fully understanding that by doing that, he's just going to be the author of the new burn notice. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's way better. That's what I meant to say. Good job.
Yeah, and I like to headcanon that, Michael and Fiona living in Ireland, that they've, that they become good Catholics and live the rest of their lives. And because, Fiona would be Catholic or very likely would have been, at least like her family would be Catholic. Culturally. I don't think she didn't really practice, but, I like to headcanon that they do, living it up in Ireland. So,
yeah. And, the idea of also the preferential treatment of the vulnerable and how we are called to protect the vulnerable. This is something that they continuously do day after day in this series, where they, even when they get hired to do something, they like, no, this is wrong. They correct it. Or, I remember one specific episode, they were offered a lot of money to do something. They did it, and they're like, no, like this was just the right thing to do because you were vulnerable. Like, we'll take some for our expenses, but like keep your money. Mm-hmm. And that's just something that, it's a good lesson for us all.
Hang on. Let me phrase this in my head. All right, so each character, again, burn spy, literal terrorist, Navy SEAL, poor Jesse. I'm sorry, like
another burn spy.
Yeah, like you just feel bad for the guy in the beginning. They're in Miami, like, and this show makes absolutely no attempt to hide the fact that like drug culture is insane, crime is rampant. Obviously, there's like 115 odd episodes. Crime is rampant. All four of these characters very easily could have been the lead on like a Breaking Bad style show. Like all of them could have been in one way or another, like some kind of criminal overlord in like 6 or 7 episodes. But they don't. Like each of them has a maybe a little bit crooked but functional moral compass, and over the course of the series, like the four of them working together, they kind of orient each other's moral compass, and they always do the best good they can. Maybe not always the most good, but like they do the best they can with what they have, and they leave the city a better place after each episode. Sometimes it's a bit of a 1 step forward, 2 steps back situation, but it would have been very easy for them to be like, this pays better actually.
Yeah. So that begs the question: is does doing bad things for good reasons, right? Do the ends justify the means? What do you think?
Well, the Catechism, as a spoiler, says otherwise. But I personally also think like, no, you can't do a bad thing for a good reason. To allude to a conversation that we have every about twice a month, the ring cannot be used for good. It, by definition, corrupts. But like,
Right.
I mean, it's true. Like, you're surrounded by, you know, the establishing shots are basically always glamorous city, glamorous cars, glamorous women in bikinis. Like, this is a city that's very easy to fall into just straight up moral depravity. Like, doesn't he start above like a rave club or something and kicks a drug dealer out in the first 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Like, it's an amazing sequence, but like, it's that easy. Like, Michael is surrounded by this stuff. The only thing that stops him from doing it is his personal convictions. It's so he knows, like, it can't just be do a bad thing for a good reason. It has to be do a good thing for a good reason, because if I start doing the bad things, I go bad, as season 7 indicates.
Yep. And in the end of season, I think it's the end of season 6, Sam Axe actually tells Michael, you've got good reasons for things, but you do enough bad things, you become the bad guy. And I think that's very indicative of what ends up happening to Michael, because, you know, he has really good things that he does, but at the end of the day, he starts doing actual bad things. And there's a distinction when we, you know, in the moral life of doing things that may not necessarily be the best looking on the outside, right? For instance, you have soldiers that go and have camouflage, and they do ambushes, and they wear disguises. You have the spycraft things, right? Those are not necessarily considered lying, because lying is saying what is false with the intention of deceiving the neighbor who has the right to the truth. And so, you know, one could argue that it's important to protect the truth from the person who does not have the right to know it, but Catholic ethics consistently pushes us towards concealment and non-disclosure rather than intentional false assertion meant to deceive. And so with espionage and deception, there's that distinction between lying, which is asserting a falsehood as truth, and strategic concealment or deception, such as in warcraft or espionage. And so, you know, in Burn Notice, they use those types of concealment and deceptions, but they do as well lie, right? Michael Weston, we're not trying to say Michael Weston is a good Catholic here.
I don't even think he's baptized.
But they also, you know, same thing with legitimate defense, right? They are able to have where they protect the needy, they protect the vulnerable. They are able to, as I mentioned earlier, Sonia says his body count is low because Michael is a noble person, right? And I just want to read one thing real quick before we wrap up here. That Pope Leo the 14th actually stated on March 7th of 2026 to the participants in the events promoted by the military ordinate for Italy. He said, when speaking about the Christian soldier, he said that they should be about defending the weak, protecting peaceful coexistence, intervening in disasters, operating in international missions to preserve peace and restore order. All this cannot be reduced to a mere profession. It is a vocation, a response to a call that challenges the conscience. The soldier's identity is forged by generosity, a spirit of service, high aspirations, and deep feelings. But these values require a foundation, a gift of grace capable of fostering charity to the point of total self-sacrifice. It is therefore necessary to inspire the codes, norms, and missions of military life with the lifeblood of the gospel, so that in the service of security and peace, the common good of peoples is always the first priority. So I just, when I saw that from Pope Leo, I just like, this is perfect to bring in a show that is talking about military and espionage and what it means to be effectively working for your country.
I mean, I love what Pope Leo says, but I think Michael himself says it a little bit more succinctly in episode 1, where he says, "Don't fight your wars with guns. Guns make you dumb. Fight your wars with duct tape. Duct tape makes you smart."
Yes. But at the end of the day, a morally good act requires the goodness of the object, of the end, and of the circumstances together. And an evil action cannot be justified by reference to a good intention. So that's what happens. Sam Axe is correct. It's not merely immoral actions that can escalate over time, but because choosing evil, even for the purposes of good, damages both justice and the moral character of the person making these choices. And that's what happens with Michael. And thank God that he is able to have Fiona show up on the rooftop and confront him about his evil ways and take off the ring. I mean, and
cast it into the fire.
Destroy it.
So, any final thoughts on Burn Notice before we wrap it up here?
No, I mean, this, again, I love this show. It's a lot of fun to watch, but it has, the more, as we talked about, it has a lot of surprising depth that is, that you might call it a hidden layer, or deeper meaning, as we like to say on Star Quest. So it's a great show. We hopefully, you're listening to this, you realize there's going to be spoilers for a show, but like it's worth watching. And I think I do want to keep, kind of go back to the episodes I was skipping and just kind of keep on watching. Cause it's just, the characters are fun to hang out with, like in hanging out with them while they're on their adventures, and just kind of imagining. And we don't know the fate of what happens, but I mean, Sam and Jesse know that Michael's still out there, and I think they kind of hint that they'll make contact when they're ready. And I like to imagine that that Sam and Jesse go over to Ireland at least once a year to go on a visit to their friends. So it's a great show, and I can't wait to keep watching it.
I mean, mine's simple. If you haven't watched this show, you really should, if only for Bruce Campbell. You'll learn to love the rest of the characters, trust me. But you really want to see Bruce Campbell fighting dudes in, like, the most horrific Hawaiian shirts imaginable.
All right. Well, that is it for this episode of The Secrets of Television. We'd like to take a moment to thank all of our patrons who make this show possible, including Janet K., Nancy, Jeffrey W., Dennis H., and John S. Their generous donations make it possible for us to continue The Secrets of Television and all of the shows at StarQuest. You can join them by visiting GiveStarQuest.com. Be sure to follow Secrets of Television in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, your favorite podcast app, or at the StarQuest YouTube channel at youtube.com/StarQuest Media, where you should like, comment, and smash that subscribe button and click the bell to get notifications so you can find us. And you can find us on social media at facebook.com/StarQuest Media, or on X, where we are at SQPN, or on Instagram, where we are at StarQuest Network. We would love to hear from you. What did you think of Burn Notice, or what will you think of Burn Notice? Let us know by commenting on the show, posting at sqpn.com/TV, or send us an email to tv@sqpn.com, or visit our channel on the StarQuest Discord server at sqpn.com/Discord. We'll be back next time when we start to cover each episode of Monarch Season 2 week by week. So thank you, Robert Story, in sharing the secrets of Burn Notice.
Well, thank you, Sam. Chuck. Rob.
And thank you, Jeff, for joining us in the secrets of Burn Notice as well.
Thanks, Rob. And remember, what do you do when an operation goes bad? Not much to do, but smile and try to stay alive.
Indeed. Once again, I'm Rob Leonardi. Thank you for listening to The Secrets of Television on StarQuest.
Here's another show on the StarQuest Network you're sure to enjoy, The Secrets of Movies. Find it wherever fine podcasts are found or at sqpn.com/secrets.